Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Welcome everyone to the National Comadres podcast of Healing Generations. We're so grateful to host this once a month podcast that comes through the Healing Generations podcast. And this is a podcast that is really focusing on the work of mujeres and how mujeres throughout this nation are meeting the need of healing and working together and looking at those challenges that we have. So we're grateful again to be here for this month and thankful because we're able to have this vehicle to reach out across the world. And that's so amazing that I don't know how it goes, comadre, but it just goes. And throughout the world, in India and Africa and Europe and South America, people have the opportunity to hear this podcast. So we're grateful to be here today, and thank you for joining us. Maestra Susie, how are you doing, comadre? How are you doing today?
Buenos dias, comadre. Nice to see you. I'm doing good. Coming to you from Los Angeles, California area. Just glad that Papa Sol is up, as always. It's always a good sign. It just really gives me that energy that I need to get through the day when I can go out there and just greet that sunshine and just fill up with all that beautiful energy, reminding me that it's another day to choose again, another day to do better, and another day to also be able to serve Creator and the ancestors. So I'm feeling really good, grateful for my health, and grateful to be here with all of you this morning.
Yes, I'm here in the Bay, and it's a little foggy today. I have my jacket on, and so waiting for for the sol to come my way. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful to be here with our special guest today, and with every listener out there. And I know I might sound like a broken record, but I guarantee you, today you will have some words that are going to ring in your ear because they're the words that you've been waiting to hear. And our podcast today will be a little different because we want to introduce two young women that are working in the community, and we're going to share a little bit more about them. So as we get going this morning, we're excited to share this service with you. A little bit of history. So the National Compadres Network that makes this podcast possible for the National Comadres Network has been working for, over 30 years, working with the community. And I know many of you out there have heard of Joven Noble, Cara y Corazon. The National Compadres Network, what it does, it's a training institute. It's a training organization that has culturally relevant curriculums that have to do with our ancestral roots. So their teachings and their concepts of healing that are targeted, let's say, to our parents or to our young men, to our fathers, to women, to young girls. And so they reach out to the whole nation and they train community members in these different curriculums. And so the National Compadres Network, because of the dreams of Maestro Jerry Theo, had that desire to make sure that not only were we meeting men's needs, but we were meeting women's needs. And so that's where the idea of the National Comadres Network came from. And so it was a consolidation of mujeres that came together and then began to roll out these services that would help women across the nation. And part of that department, the Women and Girls Department, is called Amayeli, and we're going to be talking about that today. And so our two special guests have a part to play in that. So as we get started today, I just want again, thank, because it happens with visions and dreams. And if it wasn't for those dreams and visions, and prayers, answers to prayers, we wouldn't be here today. So we're very grateful to Maestro Jerry that got a group of mujeres together. We're very grateful for Maestro Hector that runs as the director of the National Compadres Network, runs NCN. And as a result, here we are. We're the answer to the dream for mujeres. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And with that, Maestra, before you introduce these, beautiful mujeres, can you share a little bit too, because you've been part of that journey as well as I, share a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And being so blessed to be able to be working in the community for so many years, along with Maestro Jerry Teo at the Sacred Circle Center in Whittier, California. We've been very blessed to be able to offer counsel, support in all the quadrants of our community. The fathers, the mothers, the children, the teachers, the facilitators, all wanting to offer our support as our giving back to the community at the center. But in doing this work for the National Comadres Network, along with the Compadres Network, and doing training throughout the years, it's been very, very obvious that there is a great need for our mujeres. Great need, but intergenerationally. In the beginning, it was focusing on facilitators that do the work in their community, but in doing that and then offering healing retreats through our Comadres Network with all women, it became very obvious that we're all hurting and we all need that healing and that help, starting with our young girls, trying to get them balanced and focused and see what we can do to change, to break the cycles of wounds that have been passed on from generation to generation, and stop that. So that's one of the quadrants that's very important for us, is to build more healing spaces and opportunities for our young girls to heal. The next quadrant is our teenage girls that need help. They need our guidance. They need our support so that we can help prepare them, build their confidence, teach them their values, bring understanding and awareness to them so that they can maintain their balance, reminding them of their own self-care and helping them to move forward towards their sacred purpose with the support around them that they need. The next quadrant is our women and our mothers and daughter relationships. The intention for this quadrant is to continue providing healing support to our women, our facilitators, our mothers that are trying to juggle so many different roles, in their lives, especially now with the pandemic and trying to work and teach their children and be on Zoom. And it's just so overwhelming and so frustrating. They need that support as well, and we want to create more resources for them as well to cultivate them, to help them nourish themselves, to remember to take care of themselves. They're always giving and giving and giving, and we forget about ourselves. So we want to bring more awareness to that, for their own self-healing, for their own balance, so that they can continue doing all the things that they're responsible for, but also to remind them to take time for them as well. And our last quadrant are the elders, the grandmothers. The intention of this quadrant is to build more healing spaces so that we can teach our women and girls how to value our ancestors' wisdom of the elders, our grandmothers, how to value them. They have a lot of wisdom. They've been walking a long journey for a long time. They've made many mistakes and they've learned many lessons, and they have all that medicina within them that they're just waiting to share with our younger generations, waiting to share with us. We need to give them a lugar. They need a lugar to do that. So we want to create spaces like that as we continue developing our Amayeli department. We want to teach our girls how to honor and respect our elders. We don't know how long they'll be here. So we don't want to take that for granted. We want to be able to create spaces to sit with them and learn and gather all that wisdom that they've hard-earned wisdom that they've gathered throughout the years, and give them a lugar to pass on that wisdom as we continue. Well, that's just an overall of the Amayeli vision, but I know our guests will be able to touch more on that and share their ideas, their insights, their visions. They're the next generation. So we want to give them the platform to do that. I mean, my sister and I, we're seeing one through one lens, but this new generation, they have a lot of new challenges that they have to deal with, and they're struggling. And so we're really blessed to have them with us today and gain that insight of what these girls and women are needing today.
Yes. So I want our listeners to really pay attention, because these are services that are going to be available or are available to those out in the community. And so we're going to share about that. So without no further ado, Maestra, let's introduce our guest today.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. First of all, we're going to begin with Mija Cristian Jaimes. So blessed to have her on our Amayeli team. She is the project coordinator for National Compadres Network Amayeli Women and Girls Work. Cristian was born and raised in Santa Barbara, California. She comes to us from her father is from Mexico. Her mother is from Woodstock, Illinois. And through her experiences and her resiliency and living between two worlds, Cristian became a strong and a passionate advocate for girls and women of color. And she continues to serve the community both locally and nationwide. She has a bachelor's degree in sociology, Chicano studies, and from the University of Barbara, and has been working in the community with youth and families for the past 13 years. A lot of history there. Also, so blessed to have with us the next generation, Miss Evelyn Arciniega, proud daughter of Sarajevo Valle and Mario Arciniega. She has been involved in the community her whole life, and I can vouch for that, along with her mother, who does such amazing work with the community and the youth. She's had some good examples, some good maestras in her life guiding her. She's seen personally the impact that these many organizations have made in the community, and the work that the National Compadres Network has done in her own community, along with her family, to begin with. She has a strong passion also for music. She comes from a very traditional musical family, and always likes to try her best to use her talents to speak to others and bring that healing medicine that way through the música. She is currently going to school for Chicano studies, and she plans to continue doing the work for her community as she always has done, as well as supporting the development of our National Compadres Network Women and Girls Division and our Amayeli team. Welcome, Mujeres. So happy that you've joined us today. Gracias.
So let's start with Cristian, and then we'll go to Evelyn. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and what brought you here.
Wow. Well, first of all, good morning. Thank you for having me on. I know we speak a lot, maestras, but this is a whole other platform, and it's great to expand in this way. So I'm grateful to Creator for another day, and also for bringing us together and being able to create together, work together, and bring a lot of love and joy to what we do. It's not easy to find a family like that. So I just wanted to send my gratitude and my love, and un abrazo muy fuerte a ustedes and everybody listening. Well, today, I was speaking to myself Deborah earlier, and I'm like, it's really hard to talk about myself sometimes. We don't know where to start. But today, I just wanted to bring forth my family. So I come from a very strong mother and father. And my father's name he has a very strong name, Graciano Jaimes Guadarrama. And my mother is Lucia Jaimes Alonso. And I also come from a very strong grandmother, and I really like to bring her into all of our pláticas. That connection to my elders, to my ancestors. And her name is Enriqueta Alonso. And I was brought up in Santa Barbara. And in my intro, I do say I live in between two worlds. And that's how it was growing up. It was very much, in the mornings, when my dad was around before he went to work, it was norteño music and, huevos rancheros and, un cafecito with pan. And then he would go off to his gigs. And, my dad's a musician. And so he'd go off to his gigs. And then all of a sudden, we'd be listening to James Brown with my mom and Yaz Band or rock and roll. Some of my first songs I sang with my mom was the rock band Queen. We would all sing. Me and my brothers and sisters, I have two other sisters and two other brothers. And at the time it was only three of us, my older sister, my brother, and myself. And we would literally sing with my mom, Queen. It would just switch, the switch would go off as soon as my dad would leave. And it's not that anything was better than the other. It was just different. And it was great because that's the world I grew up in. I grew up in two worlds and it was very distinct. And so I grew up eating hamburguesas and pizza and all that stuff, but I also enjoy a good taco and, my favorite food are chile rellenos. And so going to school in a predominantly place where only English is spoken, where, we don't really learn about our culture, but we learn about American culture. It wasn't a struggle at school. I thankfully I love school and I love learning. It was a struggle going back home, and then telling teachers and everybody telling me this is the way of life, the American way, and then going back home and seeing that not reflected in the way I thought it should be, the way I was being taught at school, and it was a lot of the time where it was almost shameful, I guess you could say, in bringing in my Mexican culture into my American education and the people that I was connected to. And so it wasn't until very later, until I thought, I went to school, I went to City College there. So they have a great Chicano studies department. And then I went to the university where I really was able to connect with people like me, living between two worlds, and then also go into studies that allowed me to explore that part of my life. And then eventually was connected into National Compadres Network through a nonprofit. I worked locally there in Santa Barbara. And it was only through those mentors that I had, which were actually men. I had men mentors, Saul Serrano, Alejandro Vasquez, who actually brought me into the indigenous ways of teaching, the indigenous ways of being, that cultura, and made me so proud to have my background and bring those aspects into the way I live now. So it's been a definitely a lot of transitions, a lot of transformations, and a lot of people I met on the way, and now including las maestras, Maestra Deborah, Maestra Susie, and coming into my own. And there's a lot of healing and changing that goes into that too. So I'm continuing that journey. But that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Christian. Evelyn?
Hi, buenos dias. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Very excited to share, and I'm excited for everyone that's listening to kind of hear a little bit about us and Amayeli and the work of NCN. So my name is Evelyn Sarai Arciniega, the proud daughter of Sarai Ovalle and Mario Arciniega. My parents, my dad was actually born and raised in Durango, Mexico. My mom was born in La Ciudad de Mexico, but she was raised in Ciudad Juarez. I was born in Ciudad Juarez, and my family decided to migrate to the U.S. for a better life, better opportunities for themselves and for our family. I was 5 years old, so I came into a whole different world. At the age of 5, I had to learn new teachings, a whole new language, whole new traditions, and it was very different, but I'm very thankful for that. I was living in the Bay Area, San Francisco area, for about 2 years, which is where my parents were introduced to Maestra Deborah. It was a moment that really changed our lives, really impacted all of our lives. It's something that I'm very thankful and I constantly think about, just because if it weren't for those times and that moment that my parents met Maestra Deborah, our life, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I'm very thankful for that, to the Creator and to you, Maestra Deborah.
Thank you.
So I grew up here in the Central Valley in Cutler, California. I've been going to school here since 3rd grade all the way till now. I've been involved in my community practically my entire life. In Ciudad Juarez, my grandma was a pastor, so I was able to see all the work that she would do for the community herself. The environment over there, there's a lot of poverty. So my grandma herself she wasn't rich, she lived through the poverty herself. So even though she was in those situations, she always did what she could to help the community and help others in her community. And my mom saw that, and so did my dad. My dad was in my mom's life very, very young. So my dad got to see all the work that my grandma would do and that my mom would do herself as well. So growing up, I always saw my family, my parents just constantly helping others, whether it was something little, whether it was my dad saying that a family didn't have a car and we had a car and he would give that car to someone else, to a family in need. Or if family didn't have clothes or food. I remember being little and in Ciudad Juarez, and I believe there was like fires or something happened. I'm not quite sure, but I had a little bed, like a little princess bed, and we took it and we donated it. And there was people out there that needed it more than I did, So I grew up seeing all that from my parents and from even my grandmother. And moving here to the U.S., we saw it more. At one point, we were the people in need, but that didn't matter. My parents still made an effort to help others. There's something my mom always talks about is they had a vision when she lived in Ciudad Juarez, that she saw herself giving food to people in need at a church with the white van. And she always talked about it, and, it never really clicked to her until one day it came true. And we were here in Cutler, California. I was very young, but I remember being in front of a church in a white van giving food to people in need. And in that moment, I would say, in those moments is when I realized, oh, wow, it's not here in the U.S. It's not perfect, how people make it seem in Mexico. There's a lot of need here. And I loved seeing the work that my family did and others besides them as well, helping the community. So I always grew up in church. Like I said, my grandma was a pastor. My parents were always involved in the ministry. So I grew up in church since I was in the womb till now. I see the work of others and that they do for the community. And I saw the work that my parents did as well. And my brother and I have one brother. We decided to follow those footsteps, and help the community in different ways. We both do it in very different ways, but we both have the passion for it. Yeah, I was helping the community in different ways. I would say there was I wouldn't say it was like a program, but I don't remember what it was called. But on Saturdays, we would go and clean the community and we would pass out food. So that was very young. That was in elementary school. And I remember I used to have so much fun. I used to love I would get to meet new kids. I used to see kids that I would go to school with, and the next day or that Monday, they would be like, oh, thank you for bringing our family food. And that warmed my heart a lot. So growing up, my mom worked for the Latino Commission for Nuevo Comienzo. I kind of saw all those curriculums that they do now come to life. At the moment, I didn't really understand them very well because I was very young, but all I understood at the moment is how happy those girls were and how happy they would be when they would be there. And I used to get excited and I used to talk to them, and they were a lot older than me. I was in elementary school and they were in high school. Some of them graduated, but I used to love hearing about their stories or seeing how happy they were when they were in their safe place. That was their safe place. So I grew up seeing all these programs, all these curriculums until I finally joined them and decided to be a part of them. And that was very life-changing to me. I got to see that just because I grew up differently to other people, I needed help myself. You know, I needed healing. I needed all those consejos that they needed as well. And thankfully, yo crecí en una familia that I grew up with very caring parents, which is something I'm very thankful for. I thank the Creator for that every day. Very supportive parents, but growing up, I realized that not everybody had that. Not everybody had the privilege of even growing up with parents or with both parents or with caring or supportive parents in general. So that's one thing that really encouraged me to be part of the community and helping the community. And although, like I said, I'm very thankful to have had very supportive parents. Like I said, I still needed healing myself. I still needed support. You know, there's a saying that young girls or teenage girls, they don't want to listen to their moms. Their moms can give them the best consejos, but sometimes we'd rather hear it from someone else. And now that I think about it, I'm like, wow, my mom she really wanted the best for me. But in those moments, it was nice hearing from other people. It was nice hearing from other mujeres that went through the same experiences or that struggled with the same things. And it was nice hearing those consejos or just knowing that they cared. Although I had very, very caring parents and very supportive parents, it was nice hearing it from other people. So if I felt that way, I couldn't imagine how other young girls felt. So, it was amazing to grow up in that environment. As I grew older, I went into high school and it was different. I went to a different high school, not in my town, but I wanted kind of to start fresh. And I did. I got more involved in middle school. In elementary school, I wasn't really involved in school. I was more involved outside of school, but this time I was like, no, I want to be more involved. And I joined a lot of clubs. I did a lot of community work in high school. I joined a pageant that was called the Cinco de Mayo pageant. And that was a life-changing opportunity. That's kind of where I really found myself, I would say. I decided to use my music. Like I said, I've been in music my entire life, but that was the moment where I decided to use my music to inspire other young girls. And since then, I started doing a lot of community work. I started performing and speaking at community events. I started doing a lot of work for homeless shelters or events that kind of raise money to help the community. And yeah, from that, I started going to different events outside of my community. And after I graduated, it was, I was kind of like, oh, it's over. What do I do? How do I continue to help my community, without that push? So I continued finding different ways. I was still, the community where I went to school, they still reached out and I really appreciated that. But I kind of turned over to social media, and social media has helped me so much, especially now with the pandemic. It's hard to kind of do community work in person just because, we want to social distance. But I've kind of used my social media to speak up. And there's one thing, I've been criticized a lot for speaking up, but I always say I want to speak up about the things that a lot of people are scared to speak up about, whether it's about immigration or politics or insecurities or the negativity of social media itself, So I've been very blessed to be able to speak up about that stuff. And yeah, that's where I'm at now. I'm very excited to be with the National Compadres Network and continue my work and continue to, help the community. And I keep saying this, but I've told Christian and everyone that the most exciting part of me being with National Compadres for me is growing and getting to know myself more. I'm young still, but I want to grow. I want to be I want to learn about myself. I've seen my mom heal her whole life. I've seen her work on herself, and that's been a great example. And that's what I want to do. I want to work on myself while I'm supporting others and helping young girls. But yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mija. Evelyn, that's so blessed that you've been surrounded by such powerful maestras, and even as you continue to speak about your own mother, to have that relationship that you do with her and be able to cultivate that and receive her teachings as well. She's a powerful maestra in her own right, and it would just be so beautiful if all of us could be blessed to have a relationship like that. But that's what we're working towards, to create those spaces so that we can, support our mothers and daughters as well. I'm gonna move on to Christian. Mija, wondering if maybe you can, for our listeners, explain a little bit about what Amayeli is, and maybe some of the ways that you feel in the years of experience that you had that would be helpful for continuing to support our facilitators and our mothers, to help cultivate them and get them on their healing journey moving forward, to help them to heal and nourish themselves and be able to move forward to be the best that they can be. What is your vision with that, and what is Amayeli?
Thank you, Maestra. Yes, Amayeli, it was our dream project in the making, right? It came with a lot of prayers, a lot of intention. It comes to us with a lot of lessons learned and a lot of listening to our mujeres, to the network, to our young women. We took in everything, and we created something that we're still, we did a foundation of department of the women and girls work that we're still working on, right? But we wanted to make it more intentional. We wanted to bring forth all of our mujeres, all of their gifts, all of their talents, all of our maestras, our elders, and make it intergenerational, an intergenerational effort to bring resources to our mujeres, to our youth, to create spaces that are safe to share, to heal, to learn, and to grow together. And so Amayeli is actually a Nawa word. It is a Nawa word that means spring or fountain. And it is believed that these spring waters carry with them many healing properties. And like the spring water, it is our intention to create healing and wisdom and sharing spaces. It is an extended network, an extended kinship of women, and it's women-centered. And it's made up of women, girls, femme-identified people, and we encourage deep and lasting connections between not only Chicanx, Latinx, Brown, Black, and Indigenous women and girls, and where we do cultivate healing-informed leadership in an intergenerational way for community health and for our systems of transformation. We bring this into the form of interactive workshops, which are online, trainings, webinars. We do this through Indigenous values and rites of passage teachings for youth and adults. We bring forward culturally rooted campaigns for prevention and health justice through women and girl-centered and healing-informed strategies. And we also really, really cultivate and encourage connection and cross-pollination between our La Cultura youth and adult facilitators through community exchanges. And then also we bring forth technical assistance and tools for facilitators who are trained in our curriculums. So we really created Amayeli for women, for young women, for facilitators to come together, to learn together, to heal together, and to share spaces together in a way where we cannot do that in person now, specifically for the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, we had to find a solution. The pandemic brought a lot of isolation. It brought in some mental health issues that we were seeing, not only in the facilitators, but in our youth, issues, that we needed to talk about, we needed to get out into the open. And, we thought, why not make this into something, virtual workshops? And we did a series of virtual workshops throughout the year. And so, we'll go into a little bit more about that later, but that is something that the Amayeli department brought through. And we wanted to bring that and create that with the mujeres. So we did bring in youth and mujeres to ask them, what is it that we want to learn together? where do we want to start? And for this particular workshops, we did start with our intention setting workshop, is what we called it. And it was very purposeful, because we started off last year in February with this intention workshop. And it was really to initiate Amayeli with clear intentions. And it was to model the power of intention within our circles. Intention is powerful, right? And it helps us not get blown around in the wind. It helps us stand in our roots and stand in our foundations that we've created together. And it's part of our traditions to move with intention, with honor, and to offer gratitude that supports us. So we wanted to start off our Amayeli Women and Girls department with a workshop that would bring a clear intention and also a lot of movimiento and honor and gratitude to launch our series. So that's a little bit about Amayeli.
Thank you, Christian. I think the importance of creating a platform of support for women that are in the community, right, and doing the work. So our women in the trenches need that support, need the encouragement, need that skill widening or developing, right, as we come together to share those things, is the messages that we were hearing, or the asks that were coming in to the Women and Girls Department. So for our listeners, part of what we shared, there's curriculum trainings for those that are in the community working and dealing with the different groups. So mothers and fathers, or young women or young men, they're out there doing this work. And sometimes it feels like you're the only one there. Or sometimes it feels like, oh gosh, I don't know what else to do, or how do I do it more efficiently or supportively or creatively. And so Amayeli provides those webinars that enhance the skills of our women facilitators. And that was something that we heard over and over. We need support, we need help. We need somewhere to just talk about those things that we're struggling with. And you did a great job, or that's the job that you're facilitating for the facilitators out there, right? You're giving them a place to come in, to land that's supportive of their needs. And so can you speak a little bit more about that initial webinar of setting those intentions?
Yeah, so that webinar, like I said, we created it because we wanted to start off the year and the launch of our series in a very good and intentional way. We wanted to share the teachings about the power of intention and bring awareness to our words and actions, because our words are super powerful and our action behind it can only make that just as strong. So we wanted to bring a teaching into intention of what that actually means. We move with intention. We speak with intention, and our words have a lot of power behind it. And so we wanted to give a space where we can talk about what that means, and what that means in setting an intention for yourself and modeling what that looks like within yourself and within your connection to others, in relation to others, and relation to your community. We're sharing and modeling the importance of self-care. And part of self-care is setting personal intentions, right? Not only seeing as part of a personal intention, but seeing it as part of our prayer or our vision as Amayeli, as a team, and relating that to our facilitators. This is something that we walk. We don't just talk. We walk the lessons. We walk the philosophies. We want to bring in not only the teachings behind the power of intention, but also the teachings of and the importance of self-care and modeling what that looks like. We also shared that day our launch of Amayeli, the cycles of the water, and also how we're constantly moving and flowing as an Olin. And we introduced, what is it that we wanted to do with Amayeli, but we also welcomed a lot of plática on, what is it that we want the rest of our series to look like. We invited consejos and recommendations, suggestions. And we also ask them to fill out a survey so that we know, what else we want, what else do they want to learn about, what other topics do they want to discuss, what are they struggling with, and there was a lot of feedback. And so we took all that into their series, and we really made it a point, an intention to listen, to give that space and that lugar to our mujeres who have been working endlessly to make their communities better, to share space with their youth. So we wanted to give back and also have them be part in the creation of Amayeli and of our workshops. And then we did ask them if they could share a poem. We always like to bring floricanto, and have that balance. And so we asked them to share a poem that reflects their own personal prayer for this next cycle of life. And we asked them, if they would share that, and they did. And it was a hit. And our mujeres are full of floricanto, right? Everybody, all mujeres, right? And that's part of our healing process as well. And that's something that we want to bring forth more of in this next year, in this coming workshop series.
Gracias, Christian. I'm reflecting back as you're talking about that webinar intention setting. And, it was really surprising to me because I was surprised to hear the responses of a lot of the mujeres. You're talking about the power of words. And a lot of them were so really intentional when they're setting their goals for the year about how they talk to themselves. It was very interesting, that was, I know I really have to check myself when I go there. It's real easy to go there. We're our worst critics. Yeah. But to provide the platform to even bring that awareness to them, to think about, the power of your words and how you talk to others, but really how we talk to ourselves. So it was nice to see that a lot of them were sharing their intention for this year to stop a lot of that negative self-talk, talk more positive and reaffirming with their selves. Thank you for sharing that, Christian. Evelyn, mija, as far as Amayeli, what are some of the ideas and visions that you feel in your experience and your age group that would be helpful for supporting our teenage girls and preparing them, building their confidence, teaching them to not only know the values, but to live the values, teaching them about self-care and balance and awareness. What do you think at this time? I know there's several subjects that the girls are struggling with at this time, but from your perspective, what are some of those issues that you feel that they need support with to help them develop and move closer to their sacredness and their sacred purpose?
Yeah. Like you guys mentioned earlier, this generation is, it's a lot different. I would say I am part of this I am part of this generation, but the one coming in now, it's very, very different. There's a lot of struggles that I see myself, especially being on social media a lot, being kind of an advocate for a lot of topics, but something I see that is a big struggle right now is the negativity in person, bullying at school, but a lot of cyberbullying. It's something that's been around for a long time, but it's something that just keeps escalating and getting worse. And the sad part is that it's among young women. It's among people of their own race, people of their own community. And that's something that I see and that I've struggled with myself. I've been a victim of cyberbullying, and it's something that I've had to kind of work through with myself and learn that it has nothing to do with me. People speak negativity because of their own feelings, like they say, hurt people, and people take advantage of social media, of not being face to face, to hurt others, and it's something I see, like I said, among young women, a lot of hate towards their image, towards the way they look, towards just who they are in general. Growing up, I had a lot of negativity because I've always embraced my culture since I was very young. But as a teen, that was like horrible to people. The fact that I was proud to be Mexicana, to be a musician, that was horrible to some girls. It was embarrassing. So I see that in social media. I'm an after school tutor as well, so I see that in person as well. I see young girls bully other young girls because of either the way they dress, the way they look, the way they talk. Growing up, I talked with an accent for a very long time, and I got a lot of hate towards that. I got a lot of, just backlash. And I feel like that's an issue right now, that a lot of young girls think it's okay to just judge other young girls for that. And I've seen that it's to the point where girls start to think that it's true, or those words actually matter. And something I had to work on was to realize that no, those words don't define me at all. And that I had to really like work on myself and know like my true value. And I feel like many young girls don't have that. I feel like I'm very fortunate to have that, like I said, because I have a great relationship with my mother, and she's taught me to always know my worth. And my father too. My dad's always siempre me dice like, tú eres una mujer poderosa. You're a strong young girl. Stand up for yourself. You know your worth. And my mother too. So I grew up with that environment. So I had that support to work on myself and know my worth in order to not let those words affect me. But not all young girls have that. And I feel like Amayeri can really bring that in, that support to help young girls to really heal and kind of find their true selves, find their worth. And yeah, social media is fun. It's a great place to get to know new people and to it's fun. It's really entertaining, but it's also a place where you can really hurt. And I think it's really important to offer that help and that support to young girls to know that social media isn't everything. Your friends at school, they're not everything. Like, I'm sure you guys know, friends don't last forever. I had friends in high school that I thought, oh my gosh, those are my friends for forever. And I haven't talked to them in years, and that really, it affects a lot of young girls. It affects a lot of teens. They feel that things like that really define who they are. And I feel that having that support in different areas, whether it's hosting like the young women circulos, I feel like I've been part of different ones growing up, and it's impacted me a lot, and I know that can really help other young girls, or listening to webinars, inspirational speakers that can really tell their testimonies of things that have helped them, or tell their stories of situations that have really hurt them, but they're able to heal and they're able to work on that. So yeah, I just feel that's an issue that really hits close to home, and it's an issue that I really, really see a lot. Mm-hmm. Just because it's not just about one topic of bullying. There's so many different forms of bullying. There's different, like I said, just speaking on girls' insecurities, on when it comes to race, when it comes to like their ethnicity and things like that. So I feel like that's something that needs a lot of attention right now, just being that support for young women to heal.
Thank you, Mia.
Wow. I tell you, it's, I sit here and look at you both, Evelyn and Christian, and go, wow, the challenges of today are so different than the challenges of definitely my time.
Right.
So I'm in the third phase, and it's, it's a different world out there, and the different challenges that come, even that you're not even in person. And this whole internet and Wi-Fi and social media and going through the air, how that really impacts our youth of today. Learning where we can provide support, have a different message, right? A different song that would be positive to reinforce that sacredness within each one of us. Mm-hmm. Is such a great or a big mandate. It's a big challenge for our youth today. But I'm so excited that we have young women that are up for the challenge and that have that personal experience, that can breathe fresh air to our young women, that will hear us, that will be there, support to our older mujeres, to help our young women to get through these times that are challenging, right? And so I know we are grateful. We are grateful for you young women that will be taking our place one day, because we have limited time here, and I can feel that sense of happiness that you'll take it to the next level that we definitely aren't able to do. But I don't know, Maestra, looking at these young women, the challenges that they have, it's good that they're coming from where they're coming from.
We're very blessed to have them. Very blessed. All these powerful palabras today. We're very blessed, but very inspiring. Very inspiring that you both feel, the issues. You're aware, and you're so devoted to support the effort as we go forward. Maestra, I'm looking at the time, and it always comes quicker than we want it to. Oh, siempre, huh? But we're not going to let you go until we get some final consejos from the both of you. I'd like to ask you, what advice would you like to offer others on their journey that would be helpful in terms of their own health and healing? Because we all know that healing starts with ourselves. Yes. Maybe each of you have had the opportunity to be surrounded by such powerful elders and maestros. Maybe from your own experience, Christian, what are some of those traditional values that you've been taught from either your familia, your grandmother, your maestras, maestros, that you would like to offer? Final consejos, words of advice, words of wisdom that could help our listeners as they move forward on their healing journey.
Yes, thank you, Maestra. The first thing that always comes to mind, because I know I am my worst enemy sometimes and my harshest critic, is, forgive yourself constantly. That is something I've had to learn, and I'm still learning. And I say constantly because something always happens where, I feel I've either didn't do my best or didn't speak up, or I didn't, just didn't quite make the mark, or, that imposter syndrome that sets in as a mujer of color, and I have to remind myself that it's okay, and I'm me, and I can take up space, and I can forgive myself for any time I maybe didn't take up space than I should have, or things that maybe I did to myself that wasn't walking in the light. And so I that is something, where I'm still learning, and I tend to do to keep myself grounded is to forgive myself constantly. And then the other one I would say is laugh. Just laugh. Yeah. Oh my God. It has been one of the most healing things in my life. The gift of laughing. I have a very distinct laugh. They say I laugh like my grandmother, very loud. People can hear me from across the street. And they know it's me. And I just say, stay connected to the people and the things that bring you lots of joy. The people in your life that make your heart smile and your heart laugh. Those are the people that you want to stay connected to, and you want to cherish them. And don't ever lose faith. Don't ever lose faith in yourself and your ability to not only survive your trauma, but to heal and thrive from it. So that's what I want to leave everybody with today. Gracias. Gracias, maestras.
Thank you, mija. Evelyn.
Yeah. So kind of touching on what Christian said, forgive yourself. It's one thing that, like Christian said, I've had to work on myself too. But another thing I would just say is to be yourself. Don't try to be someone else. Always remember who you are. Being a teen, being young, we try to please others, and we want to kind of put out a specific image. But at the end of the day, we're who we are. It's something I did. I would go to school and try to be, cool to fit in. But at the end of the day, I would go back home and cuddle with my parents and be a little baby. So just always just be yourself. And it's something I've done. I'm very, I've told you guys I'm a goofy person. I love to joke around. I just love to have fun, smile. And that's something that's helped me a lot to just portray that everywhere I go. And not try to be a different person everywhere I go, but to always stick to who I truly am and my roots. So I would say that's really important. And that's a consejo I would give to young women and young girls.
Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, our time has come to an end. And we just want to thank both of you for sharing this time with us. And also to our audience. There are services, webinars, teaching opportunities, connection that will be made available through these two beautiful mujeres. All you have to do is just go on the NCN, the National Compadres Network webpage, and you'll be able to connect with them directly. So please look forward to emails or connecting with them for the services that will be rolling out this year. Again, we want to thank every single person today that took the time to join us. We don't take that lightly because we know that you could have been doing anything else, but you chose to spend this time with us. So really a big thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we go out today and wrapping up this podcast, again, connect with us. We're available. The National Comadres Network, also, you can find on the webpage of the National Compadres Network, and we're here to serve. That is our mission, to offer opportunities for mujeres in any one of those quadrants, from a young girl to an older mujer to our seniors. We are here to serve. So please connect with us. Maestra, again, thank you for joining me on this venture. We're ending it up today on a good note. So thank you again. So I'm saying I'm going out from the Bay Area. This is Deborah Camarillo. So thank you for this time.
Thank you all, Maestra Susana Armijo, and thank you to our lovely mujeres today that is so willing to sit with us and share. So excited. Bless you both. You give me a lot of hope for the future and the future generations to come.
Yes. So thank you. Bendiciones until our next podcast.
Gracias. Bendiciones.
Adelante.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.